Hi everyone, I'm Aaron Ruck, and in my last tutorial you saw how we went through and did some intermediate 3D milling, and in this video we're going to jump into the 5-axis processes, the 3+2 milling. So in this video you're going to have to download the 5-axis post processor, the Premium Stock 3, and the Premium Part 3. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new document, and when this opens up I'm just going to hit cancel. If you've been following along with my previous tutorials, this will be similar but just a little bit different. I'm going to bring in the Premium 3 part. I'm going to drag and drop it in, and we're going to work on getting the wizard to get the location set up. So I'm going to go to next. I'm going to go into my isometric mode. I'm going to align Z with the center of a revolved surface. So I'm going to click on this. I bring my cursor until I see my hole line up, and then I'm simply going to hit next. This is going to help out a lot. You can see that the Z is now pointing straight up. Now for X, I'm not worried about anything. Now I'll show you this. I'm going to click on top, and you can see how the X is going right and left on line with this geometry. So I'll simply hit next. Now on block, I'm just going to hit next, and then I'm going to compute the stock from the boundary of the box of the part. Okay, so this is actually just very simple, should be default. So I'll hit next, and then I'm going to put my user coordinate system in the middle of the part, and then I'll hit next again. There is 5th axis positioning, so I need to select that. When I hit next on this, it wants to know where the data box is. So I'm going to come right here and I'm going to center. When I click it, you won't see much happen. But what it's doing is it's going to center the imported data around this box. And then I'm going to hit next and finish. As I hit finish, I'm going to go back into my isometric view, and I'm just going to click off my part. So I can see that this looks correct. I have a box here for my material. I have my coordinate system in the center, and it looks pretty good. Now here's where it's going to be a little bit tricky, so I need you to take your time. I'm going to go grab the Premium 3 stock, and I'm going to drop it in here. So I'm going to drag and drop it. I do want to import it, and I'm going to go to use the same alignment as last import, which is actually pretty easy. So I'm going to hit finish, and then if I come over here to my solids, you'll see that I have the first part that I loaded in there, and then I have the solid that I loaded in there. Now this solid is going to become our material. So I'm going to go back up to my isometric view. I'm going to click off the part. You can see that it does change into an interesting color. Then I'm going to come up to stock. I'm going to right click on stock and go to properties. I'm going to come over here to user define, solid stock, and then the last stock that we pulled in was 11. So I'm going to select 11, and I'm going to click OK and apply, and then I'm going to click OK. Now, trying to add our features with the stock in the way is not going to be very easy. So I'm going to come up to my solid. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to hide selected. Now we are ready to start adding our features. But before we do, we need to come over to our post processor and drag and drop it into our window. Now you can see that I have my 5th axis post processor in place. Now we're going to start adding those features. And this will actually go pretty quick. So I'm going to go into my features. I'm going to go to hole. I'm going to hit next, and I'm going to do this along the Z setup. So it's just going to be doing this hole right here and everything that goes with it. I'm going to hit next. I want to recognize everything to make it easy on me. And you can see that it has selected everything. So I'm going to hit select all, and I'm going to simply hit finish. Everything is in place. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to slow this down and hit play. And you can see from my wireframe, everything looks good, but I like to run it in 3D. So I will hit play one more time. You can see that it center drills, it does the counter bore, and then it does the chamfer. So that worked out really good. So let's go ahead and do the other holes along the other vectors. So I'll simply go back to Features. I'm going to keep it on hole. I'm going to go along specific vector, and I want to select Recognize All Holes. So if this is not selected, you need to select it, and then when you hit Next, it's going to recognize multiple holes. I will hit Next one more time, and you can see that it grabbed all the holes. And let's keep it simple. We're going to select them all and hit Finish. Now I'm simply going to hit play one more time. And you can see that it is doing those holes. It is optimizing the tool ordering, so you're going to see it jump around and fly around as we do this. You can zoom out so you can see it better, or you can just leave it as is when it comes back. So that's actually half the battle right there. We're actually almost done. So the next part is going to be a little tricky, but we're going to go through it slowly so you can understand what's happening. So I'm going to hit Eject, and what I want to do is I want to come up to here, and you can rotate it if you want, but I like to click my little corners, and we're going to establish this pocket. Now this is going to be a little tricky, so pay attention. We're going to go to Features. I'm going to create a new setup. I'm going to go to 0. I'm going to hit my drop down, and I'm going to align to part geometry. I'm going to pick a Z direction, but it's not like the Z direction picking that we did before. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to select the bottom of my pocket right here and watch that coordinate system do a little dance. It actually rotates up to the correct angle. But I'm going to rotate it so you can see that it did go up to the right direction. So that worked out pretty good. So I'm going to hit OK. And now that I'm using the correct setup, that's also called the Setup Wizard, I'm going to go back into Features. I'm going to go into Pocket, and I'm going to hit Next. I'm going to select Surfaces. Sometimes you can click to horizontal surface and get away with it, but I want to make sure that it's going to be right. So I'm going to select Surfaces, and then I'm going to hold Control down, and I'm going to click all of the walls. Notice how I grabbed my coordinate system. If that doesn't work, you just click off of it and try again. And just kind of rotate to where you know you're clicking on what you're supposed to be clicking on. And then you're going to hit Add and Next. You see that the pocket does look right. If it looks right, it is right. And I'm simply going to hit Next. And I could hit Finish if I wanted to, but I'm going to change this to a different size tool. So I'm going to change this to a 1/2 inch tool with the high, and I'm going to hit Next and Next again. Make sure the Finish tool is the same one, and then I'm going to hit Finish. At this point in time, I'm going to hit play, but there's something odd that might pop up, so I want you to pay attention. I'm going to play it. It'll run my holes. It'll run the holes along those other vectors, and then it's going to rotate and start doing my pocket. However, once it finishes doing the pocket, pay close attention to what happens right at the end. You'll notice that it did a little dig right here, which is not good. You would think I'm scrapping the part. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my NC code, and I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and I can read my code, and it says after the pocket was done, it went 1.5 inches up, and then the machine was supposed to have gone home. Now what's happening is when it's reading these 2 lines of code, it has something in its machine attributes or its configuration that's causing it to go down. So do not worry about this, because in just a second it's going to disappear and reappear somewhere else. So I'm going to hit Eject, and I like to click on Setup 1, and then I hit my isometric mode again, and I'll come around to this right here. I'll come back down to Pocket because I want my next pocket to be below this one. That's just me just moving it the way I like to move it. And I'm going to go Features, and we're going to create an additional setup just like we just did. So I'm going to go New Setup, 0, Align to Part Geometry, pick a surface, make our coordinate system do a little dance. But this time I'm going to have to adjust the X as well. So I'm going to click on the X, And I'll simply pick a point there and pick a point there. That way, whenever I look at this, you can see that the Z is correct and the X is correct. So I'm going to hit OK. And then we're simply going to do an additional feature, but this one will be a side. I'll hit Next. We're going to do the select sides again. And I'm just going to select the walls. So I'm going to select a wall. I'm holding down Control. I'm going to select those 5 walls and add them and hit Next. It does show the arrow to be going to the inside of the pocket and not the outside of the pocket. I will hit Next. I'm going to go to that tool and I'm going to pull up that 1/2 inch end mill one more time. So I'm going to hit Next. I'm going to go up and find the 1/2 inch high. I'll hit Next again, make sure that the Finish tool has it, and hit Finish. Now I'm going to hit OK, and we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to zoom out a little bit before I hit play, but then I'm going to hit play again, and it's going to run my first tool. We'll speed up just a little bit for those, and then I'll slow it down when it gets back to those next 2 pockets. So you can see it does that pocket, but it doesn't do the crash. After this side gets done though, oh no, it did it yet again. But if we come down and look at the NC code, we can see that it is going home in my software. So that means if I run it on the machine, it would not actually do this. This is actually a software error. And if you want to go through and kind of figure out how to fix that, it's kind of up to you. But we have successfully posted the code for all the features on this part. But I want to go one step further. I want to run this in my machine simulation. So I'm going to go to Pan, so that way it's a little bit easier for me to work with. And I'm going to zoom out. On simulation mode, I'm going to go to Machine. Now the first thing I want to do is I want to hit single block one time. It says that the machine file isn't seen, so it's going to make a smart choice based on a machine configuration that comes with FeatureCam. And of course, when I hit single block one time, well, where did everything go? So I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to hold Control and move my machine around. That way I can see it running. Now I can simply hit play, and we can watch it do all these movements on the machine. It's doing my holes, it's doing the counter bores. After the counter bores, it's going to go back to my pocket. After the pocket, it's going to come around, it's going to do this side. And then once it's all done, you'll see it go back to normal. But keep in mind, it did still do that. But it won't on the machine because I understand how to read my code. So this part is all done and this tutorial has been completed. So what we want to do is hit eject. I'm going to come up to file. I'm going to go save as, and I'm going to move it to my downloads, and I'm going to name this 3+2 milling. Now that I save it, I'm going to hit save. That I want to save it all my tool paths. And now I am completed. So again, my name is Aaron Runk. I appreciate you watching this video. If you'd like to see my other tutorials or the tutorial that I did just before here, be sure and click below. And again, thank you for watching.